Ever spend hours making pros and cons lists for a simple decision, only to end up more confused and exhausted than when you started? You are not alone. 73% of adults aged 25-35 report regularly overthinking. That mental paralysis, where your thoughts turn against you, is classic overthinking. It drains your time, your focus, and your energy. But what most people miss is this: the answer isn't more logic, more opinions, or more endless analysis. The real solution is tapping into your brain's built-in ability to understand things instinctively, without having to overthink every detail. Intuition isn't a fluffy myth, it's a scientifically proven process. We're constantly told to use our heads and ignore our gut feelings, but modern neuroscience shows that advice might actually be what's keeping us stuck. Harvard research reveals you make your best decisions when you're not forcing yourself to think harder. While your conscious mind processes just 40 bits of info per second, your unconscious mind handles 11 million. That's why top athletes, emergency responders, and creative leaders trust their gut. They make split-second choices by bypassing the overthinking trap. So let's upgrade your intuition into a powerful tool. Here's the first step that changes everything. Step 1. Quiet the anxious noise. You can't hear a whisper in a storm. Similarly, you can't hear your intuition when your mind is full of anxious thoughts. The first step is to create mental space, and one of the best ways is through cognitive awareness. Non-judgmental self-awareness can be as simple as taking 5 minutes to focus on your breath. You don't try to stop your thoughts, you just notice them without judgment. This simple act calms your hyperactive amygdala, the fear center we mentioned earlier. It reduces anxiety, creating the quiet you need to hear your intuition's subtle signals. Another technique is a body scan. 2 or 3 times a day, take 30 seconds to check in with your body. Notice where you hold tension, like in your shoulders, jaw, or stomach. Physical sensations are the primary language of intuition. Learning to notice these physical cues builds a stronger connection to your intuitive intelligence and helps you distinguish a real signal from the static of fear. Your gut feeling isn't some mystical sixth sense. It's your brain's advanced pattern recognition system running at full speed. While you're consciously stuck in confusion, your unconscious mind is already connecting thousands of dots from your past experiences, learned behaviors, and subtle cues in your environment. This is how your brain delivers answers faster than conscious thinking ever could. It's not about abandoning logic. It's about getting your analytical and intuitive minds to work together. Now that you know what's really happening in your brain, here's the second step to unlock this natural decision-making power. Step 2. Master the strategic pause. The advice to sleep on it is a powerful intuitive technique. It's backed by the science of unconscious thought. When facing a tough decision, forcing a solution rarely works. Instead, you need to use a strategic pause. First, consciously gather information, do your research and clearly define the problem. Feed all the data to your brain. Then, and this is crucial, walk away from the situation. Take a walk, listen to music, or get a good night's sleep. During this break, your unconscious supercomputer activates. It integrates all the complex details in a way your conscious mind cannot. The solution often appears when you least expect it. While the science is still evolving, stepping away from a problem fights mental fatigue. It gives you a fresh perspective and breaks the paralysis caused by staring at an issue for too long. This isn't procrastination, it's strategic incubation. Intuition can feel like a sudden insight, but it's rarely random. It's usually the result of rapid pattern recognition. Your brain excels at spotting familiar patterns from minimal information, a concept Malcolm Gladwell called thin slicing. An expert doctor might sense a patient's condition within 2 minutes. A firefighter might suddenly know a building is about to collapse. This isn't a psychic power. Their brains are thin slicing the current situation and matching it against a huge internal library of past experiences. Intuition is a skill that strengthens with experience. To build your brain's library of patterns, you must actively participate in life. Try new things, make choices, and pay close attention to the outcomes. To accelerate this process, keep an intuition journal. When you get a gut feeling, write it down. Note the situation and how the feeling manifested. Later, review your notes. Was your hunch correct? If so, what subtle cues did you notice? If you were wrong, what influenced your feeling? Learn to distinguish true intuition from fear or wishful thinking. This final step is the most important. The goal is not to replace logic with intuition, which would be reckless. Relying only on your gut is risky, especially in high-stakes or new situations, because biases and fears can warp your intuition. The real goal is to create a partnership between both ways of thinking. Think of your intuition as a scout. It surveys the landscape, spots potential paths, and points you in a general direction. Your analytical mind is the general. It takes the scout's report, checks the intelligence, assesses risks, and draws up the final plan. To use this hybrid model, first tune into your intuition. Ask yourself what your gut says before you start overthinking. Which option feels lighter or more right? This gives you a starting point. Next, use your logical mind to test that hunch. If your gut says, take the job, your logical mind should ask, let's verify. Does the salary work? What is the company culture like? Does this align with my long-term goals? If logic confirms your intuition, you can move forward with confidence. If logic raises red flags, pause. Perhaps your intuition was just wishful thinking, or maybe your logic is missing something your intuition detected. The tension between the two is where the best decisions are born, leading to choices that are both intuitively aligned and rationally sound. You might be thinking, I've trusted my gut before and it was completely wrong. Let's clear up why that happens without frying your brain with science. Sometimes what feels like intuition is actually just your old fears or biases sneaking in wearing a fake moustache. For example, maybe you bombed a presentation once, and now every time you get a chance to speak, your gut yells, "Nope." Is that intuition? Nope. That's just fear in disguise. Here's a brainy trick called the Zeigarnik effect. Promise this isn't a pop quiz. Your mind loves unfinished business. That's why you can't stop humming a half-remembered song, or why you need to know what happens after a cliffhanger. Your brain wants to tie up loose ends. But here's the catch. If you believe something like, I'm not good enough, your brain keeps searching for proof, even when it's not there. Suddenly, your intuition is just your doubts on repeat. So how do you actually trust your gut without getting tricked by fear? Try this. First, practice the quiet mind technique I showed you earlier. Second, use the strategic pause. Give your unconscious mind time to work. Third, keep a decision journal. Track when your gut was right versus wrong. Fourth, use what I call the hybrid approach. Let intuition guide, then let logic verify. You've already got this superpower. No guru status required. Next time you're stuck in overthinking mode, just pause, breathe, and ask, is this my intuition or just old fear talking? You might be surprised by what you discover. Now, I'd love to hear from you. When did you trust your gut and what happened? Drop your story in the comments. Let's learn from each other. Want more brain hacks and psychology secrets? Hit subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss out. Thanks for watching. Here's to making your next big decision with real confidence and clarity.